I welcome you all in our today's session. In last few lectures, we have discussed about the constraint satisfaction problems. Now, we are going to discuss about the local search for these CSPs, that is constraint satisfaction problems. Local search algorithms turn out to be effective in solving many CSPs. They use a complete state formulation. The initial state assigns a value to every variable, and the search changes the value of one variable at a time. For example, here we consider the 8 queens problem. In the 8 queens problem, the initial state might be a random configuration of 8 queens in 8 columns, and each step moves a single queen to a new position in its column. Now, typically, the initial guess violates several constraints. The point of local search is to eliminate the violated constraints. In choosing a new value for a variable, the most obvious heuristic is to select the value that results in a minimum number of conflicts with other variables, which is known as the mean conflicts heuristic. The algorithm is shown in figure 1 and its application to an 8 queens problem is diagrammed in figure 2. So here is our figure 1, the mean conflicts algorithm for solving CSPs by local search. The initial state may be chosen randomly or by a greedy assignment process that chooses a minimal conflict value for each variable in turn. The conflicts function counts the number of constraints violated by a particular value given the rest of the current assignment. So here the figure shows the function mean conflicts. This is the figure 2, which shows a two-step solution using mean conflicts for the 8 queens problem. At each stage, a queen is chosen for the reassignment in its column. The number of conflicts, in this case the number of attacking queens, is shown in each square. The algorithm moves the queen to the mean conflict square, breaking ties randomly. Mean conflicts is surprisingly effective for many CSPs. So amazingly, on the n queens problem, if you don't count the initial placement of queens, the runtime of mean conflicts is roughly independent of problem size. It solves even the million queens problem in an average of only 50 steps. This remarkable observation was the stimulus leading to the great deal of research in the 1990s on local search and the distinction between easy and hard problems. Now, roughly speaking, the n queens is easy for local search because solutions are densely distributed throughout the state space. Mean conflicts also works well for hard problems. For example, it has been used to schedule observations for the Hubble Space Telescope, reducing the time taken to schedule a week of observations from 3 weeks to around 10 minutes. All the local search techniques are candidates for application of CSPs, and some of those have proved especially effective. The landscape of a CSP under the mean conflicts heuristic usually has a series of plateaus. There may be millions of variable assignments that are only one conflict away from a solution. Plateau search, allowing sidewise moves to another state with the same score, can help local search find its way of it's this plateau. This one ring on the plateau can be directed with taboo search, keeping a small list of recently visited states and forbidding the algorithm to return to those states. Simulated annealing can also be used to escape from plateaus. Another technique called constraint weighing can help concentrate the search on the important constraints. So each constraint is given a numeric weight Wi, which is initially all are assigned as 1. At each step of the search, the algorithm chooses a variable or value pair to change that will result in the lowest total weight of all violated constraints. The weights are then adjusted by incrementing the weight of each constraint that is violated by the current assignment. This has two benefits. So what are those? It adds topography to plateau, making sure that it is possible to improve from the current state, and it also over time adds weight to the constraints that are proving difficult to solve. Another advantage of local search is that it can be used in an online setting when the problem changes. This is particularly important in scheduling problems. A week's airline schedule may involve thousands of flights and thousands of personal assignments, but bad weather at one airport can render the schedule infeasible. We would like to repair the schedule with a minimum number of changes. This can be easily done with the local search algorithm starting from the current schedule. A backtracking search with a new set of constraints usually requires much more time and might find a solution with many changes from the current schedule. In this section, we examine the ways in which the structure of the problem as represented by constraint graph can be used to find solution quickly. Okay, so in this section we are going to see the structure of problems. Most of the approaches here also apply to other problems besides CSPs, such as probabilistic reasoning. After all, the only way we can possibly hope to deal with the real world is to decompose it into many sub-problems. Looking again at the constraint graph for Australia, one fact stands out here, that Tasmania is not connected to the mainland. So it is obvious that coloring Tasmania and coloring the mainland are independent sub-problems, and any solution for the mainland combined with any solution for Tasmania yields a solution for the whole map. So independence can be ascertained simply by finding connected components of the constraint graph. Each component corresponds to a subproblem CSP. If assignment SI is the solution of CSPI, then UI SI is a solution of UI CSPI. Why is this important? So consider the following. Suppose each CSPI has C variables from the total of n variables when C is a constant. Then there are n by C subproblems, each of which takes at most d raised to C work to solve, where d is the size of the domain. Hence, the total work is of d raised to C into n by C, which is linear in n. Without the decomposition, the total work is O of d raised to n, which is exponential in n. Now let us make this more concrete. Divide a Boolean CSP with 80 variables into 4 subproblems. Reduce the worst case solution time from the lifetime of the universe down to less than a second. Completely independent subproblems are delicious than but rare. Fortunately, some other graph structures are also easy to solve. For example, a constraint graph is a tree when any two variables are connected by only one path. We show that any tree-structured CSP can be solved in time linear in a number of variables. The key is a new notion of consistency called directed arc consistency or DAC. A CSP is defined to be directed arc consistent under an ordering of variables x1, x2 up to xn if and only if every xi is arc consistent with each xj for j greater than I. To solve a T-structured CSP, first pick any variable to be the root of the tree and choose an ordering of the variables such that each variable appears after its parent in the tree. Such an ordering is called a topological sort. So figure here shows a sample tree and the figure B shows the one possible ordering, which is shown in our next slide. So any tree with n nodes has n-1 arcs, so we can make this graph directed arc consistent in O of n states, each of which must compare up to d possible domain values for two variables, for a total time of O of n d raised to 2. So figure 3 here shows the constraint graph of a tree structure CSP, okay, which is shown in figure A. And the figure B shows here a linear ordering of the variables consistent with the tree with A as the root. This is known as the topological sort of the variables. Once we have a directed arc consistent graph, we can just march down the list of variables and choose any remaining value. Since each link from a parent to its child is arc consistent, we know that for any value we choose for the parent, there will be a valid value left to choose for the child. That means we don't have to backtrack. We can move linearly through the variables. The complete algorithm is shown in the figure number 4. So here is our complete algorithm. The tree CSP solver algorithm for solving tree structured CSPs. If the CSP has the solution, we will find it in a linear time, and if not, we will detect a contradiction here. Now that we have an efficient algorithm for trees, we can consider whether more general constraint graphs can be reduced to trees somehow. There are two primary ways to do this. One based on removing nodes and one based on collapsing nodes together. The first approach involves assigning values to some variables so that the remaining variables form a tree. Consider the constraint graph for Australia, which is shown again in figure number 5a. This is the original constraint graph and this one is the constraint graph after removal of SA. If we could delete the South Australia, the graph would become a tree as in figure number B. Fortunately, we can do this by fixing a value for SA and deleting from the domains of the other variables any values that are inconsistent with the value chosen for SA. Now any solution for the CSP after SA and its constraints are removed will be consistent with the value chosen for SA. This works for binary CSPs. The solution is more complicated with higher order constraints. Therefore, we can solve the remaining tree with the algorithm given above and thus solve the whole problem. Now, of course, this is the general case as opposed to map coloring. The value chosen for SA could be the wrong one. So we would need to try each possible value here. The general algorithm is as follows. So firstly, choose a subset S of the CSP's variables such that the constraint graph becomes a tree cycle cut set after removal of S. So here S is called a cycle cut set. And nextly, for each possible assignment to the variables in S that satisfies all constraint on S, remove from the domains of the remaining variables any values that are inconsistent with the assignment for S, and if the remaining CSP has a solution, return it together with the assignment for S. If the cycle out set has size C, then the total runtime is O of d raised to C into n minus C into d raised to 2. We have to try each of the d raised to C combinations of values for the variables in S, and for each combination we must solve a tree problem of size n minus C. If the graph is nearly a tree, then C will be small and the savings over straight backtracking will be huge. In the worst case, however, C can be as large as n minus 2. Finding the smallest cycle cut set in NP hard, but several efficient approximation algorithms are known. The overall arithmetic approach is called cut set conditioning. The second approach is based on constructing a tree decomposition of the constraint graph into a set of connected subproblems. Each subproblem is solved independently and the resulting solutions are then combined. Like most divide and conquer algorithms, this works well if no subproblem is too large. Figure 6 shows a tree decomposition of the map coloring problem into 5 subproblems here. A tree decomposition must satisfy the following 3 requirements. So what are those requirements? Every variable in the original problem appears in at least one of the subproblems. If 2 variables are connected by a constraint in the original problem, then must appear together along with the constraint in at least one of the subproblems. If a variable appears in 2 subproblems in the tree, it must appear in every subproblem along the path connecting those subproblems. So figure here shows a tree decomposition of the constraint graph. The first 2 conditions ensure that all the variables and constraints are represented in the decomposition. The third condition seems rather technical, but simply reflects the constraint that any given variable must have the same value in every subproblem in which it appears. The links joining subproblems in the tree enforce this constraint. We solve each subproblem independently. If any one has no solution, we know the entire problem has no solution. If we can solve all the subproblems, then we attempt to construct a global solution as follows. First, we view each subproblem as a mega variable, whose domain is the set of all solutions for the subproblem. For example, the leftmost subproblem in figure 6 is the map coloring problem with 3 variables and hence has 6 solutions. One is W is equal to red, SA is equal to blue and T is equal to green. Then we solve the constraints connecting the subproblems using the efficient algorithm for trees given earlier. The constraints between subproblems simply insist that the subproblem solutions agree on their shared variables. For example, given the solution W is equal to red, SA is equal to blue and T is equal to green for the first subproblem, the only consistent solution for the next subproblem is SA is equal to blue, NT is equal to green and Q is equal to red. The given constraint graph admits many tree decompositions. In choosing a decomposition, the aim is to make the subproblems as small as possible. The tree width of a tree decomposition of a graph is 1 less than the size of the largest subproblem. The tree width of the graph itself is defined to be the minimum tree width among all its tree decompositions. If a graph has tree width W and we are given the corresponding tree decomposition, then the problem can be solved in O of n d raised to W plus 1 times. Hence, CSPs with constraint graphs of bounded tree width are solvable in polynomial time. Unfortunately, finding the decomposition with the minimal tree width is NP hard, but there are heuristic methods that work well in practice. So far, we have looked at the structure of the constraint graph. There can be important structure in the values of variable as well. Consider the map coloring problem with n colors. For every consistent solution, there is actually a set of n factorial solutions formed by permuting the color names. For example, on the Australia map, we know that WA, NT and SA must all have different colors. But there are 3 factorial is equal to 6 ways to assign the 3 colors to these 3 regions. This is called the value symmetry. We would like to reduce the search space by a factor of n factorial by breaking the symmetry. We do this by introducing a symmetry breaking constraint. For our example, we might impose an arbitrary ordering constraint NT less than SA less than WA that requires the 3 values to be an alphabetical order. This constraint ensures that only one of the n factorial solutions is possible. NT is equal to blue, SA is equal to green and WA is equal to red. For map coloring, it was easy to find a constraint that eliminates the symmetry. And in general, it is possible to find constraints that eliminate all but one symmetric solution in polynomial time. But it is NP hard to eliminate all symmetry among intermediate sets of values during search. So in practice, breaking value symmetry has proved to be important and effective on a wide range of problems. I hope this session is helpful for your further studies. In this session, we have seen the local search for CSPs and also the structure of the problems. Thank you.